Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Tonight on World Talks we're joined by Jerzy Kwieciński, he's Vice President of the Polish Chamber of Commerce and former Minister of Finance and Investment, to assess a turbulent year in Polish politics, from shifting voter moods and internal battles on the right to fears of a Polexit by accident and the growing strength of the Confederation. We'll ask whether Poland's political landscape is fragmenting and what that means for governance stability and Poland's place in Europe. Minister, welcome to TVP World. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you and to talk with you.
Thank you. So you're very welcome. Now, let's start with an overview. How would you sum up 2025 politically? It's been fairly turbulent. How would you assess it?
And, I would say that's been really very interesting year for the politics, for economy, and also for the world, because we shouldn't distract from our talks the external environment, what's been happening over this the last year, in the world. So that was interesting. Yeah, certainly the most important event of the year. These were the presidential elections, and for some unexpected change for the presidential palace, because many people thought, especially from the current government coalition, that they would invite on this position Mr. Trzaskowski. And opposite to this view, that was Mr. Nawrocki, who took the seat. And I think that he has changed the way he's managing, this office in comparison to his predecessors, not only from the right, but also from the left. And I think that the main notion of his activity is that he's extremely active, he's proactive. And I think that's a change. So, from the political point of view, I think that's been the shift. And you also asked me. Sorry, you wanted to ask something.
Please finish.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I wanted to touch, the subject of, say, more Eurosceptic views, which we have noted in our society.
Right. I want to come back to sorry to interrupt, but I want to come back to the European Union in just a second. But you say that, the President has been more proactive. What has the consequence of this proactivity been? Because some are saying it's simply fragmenting the government, it's preventing unified decision-making, moving forward with policies and so on. How would you respond to those comments?
No, I would say that, in the past, we have had presidents who were more or less in cooperation with the government, coming more or less from the same political sides of the scene. In this case, he's much more proactive. I mean, not only vetoing the laws. That's true that he has done more vetoes than his predecessor. If I can count, it's been 13, till now. Although he signed hundreds of new laws. However, the predecessors were using veto really very rarely. So on one side, he's not only vetoing, but also he's immediately preparing his own legal proposals. Which he places for the consideration in the parliament. So I would say this situation requires better cooperation. We would say cohabitation between the government and the presidential palace, and this cohabitation requires both sides to work together.
And how well are they doing at that at the moment? How well are they doing in terms of working together as you see it at the moment?
No, I think that they haven't used to this new situation. They are not doing that very well. Because what we as the society would normally expect from these two key important institutions in Poland is to work together. To work together means to talk to each other, sometimes in open, sometimes in the cabinet manner, however, to talk each other and to have, say, less acts which are not processed and acts which are expected by our society. So I hope that in the coming months, next year, we will have a more working level of cooperation between presidential palace and the government. If not, we will see more clashes.
Well, we hope that doesn't happen. Now, going to Euroscepticism, how would you assess the relationship between Poland and the EU, considering the political dynamic within Poland?
I would start by saying that still the support of Polish society is one of the highest in the European Union, and it's still at the very high level. When we compare that to some of our neighbors, like, for example, Czech Republic, which is, say, very Eurosceptic since the beginning of the accession to the European Union. So it's still very low. This Euroscepticism, which we are observing now, is very much the result of the failed implementation of the European policies by European institutions, especially by the European Commission, in the areas like migration, in the areas like security, or in the area of the climate policy under the name of the Green Deal. So from my perspective, I'm not surprised, by that, because what we are observing in Poland, we are also observing in many other countries of the European Union. So I would say this growth of Euroscepticism, this is the price which we as Europeans we are paying for the failed policy of the European institutions. That's for me not surprise.
Right, so basically that would indicate that Polish public opinion is becoming generally more Eurosceptical. I mean, you have parties like Konfederacja whose support is growing, and they are a Eurosceptic party. What about PiS? How are they faring in terms of the attitude towards the EU?
No, if you looked at the PiS policy of the last several years, I would say you can see that PiS was quite consistent in its attitude, to the migration policy, to the Green Deal, to the security issues. I would say that the European societies are becoming more knowledgeable about these areas, and this is why this Euroscepticism is not only growing in Europe, but it's also growing, in other countries, and it's feeding the ultra-right political parties. For me, that is no surprise.
Okay, well, bearing that in mind, there has been some talk of Polexit by accident, whatever that may mean. But do you see a movement towards Poland leaving the European Union taking shape anytime soon?
No, I don't think so. I mean, still, I think that Polish society is very pro-European. and that concerns, say, all the political wings of our political scene. So I think we shouldn't be afraid of Polexit.
Well,
we will not take an elite in this process in the European Union. We are far much more pro-European than other societies
understood.
in the European Union.
Minister Kwieciński, thank you very much for sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a Merry Christmas, sir.
Thank you, and to you too, and to all our participants. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away. As always, lots more coming up. Goodbye.